Good morning and welcome to Bolton. My name is Josh Kelly. I'm the administrative officer here in town. We have live shows on the first and third Tuesdays of each month from 10:30 to 11 a.m., and those are rebroadcast on the second and fourth Tuesdays at the same time, respectively. This is a continuing effort to promote open dialogue and communication in our community, and if you have ideas for future shows, please call or email me at Town Hall. Today I have a very special guest joining me, Sandra Pirog, First Selectman here in Bolton. Many of you, of course, already know her. Today we're going to delve in a little bit, look at her past 2 years and even beyond that, and then a look ahead. So thank you very much for joining me, Sandy.
Oh, Josh, thank you for having me. I really enjoy this opportunity to communicate with the citizens of Bolton.
Absolutely. So as I've said, while many, if not most, of our viewers today know who you are and know a lot about what you've had the chance to do, this is my first time being able to have you on the show, and I know it's been a little bit. We may have a few newcomers. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background outside of government?
Oh, wow. I'm the mother of 3 grown children, none of whom live in Bolton at the moment, although I really wish all of them would move back to Bolton. My husband and I have lived in Bolton since 1971, and I moved here with my parents in 1954, and I'm in the same house that I lived in with my parents. So it's been in the family since my grandparents bought it the year I was born, and I'm not going to tell you how long that is, but 3rd generation in the same property. So we're almost up to Bolton standards for being a longtime resident. I went to school in Bolton, went to Manchester High School. My class was actually the last class to graduate from Manchester High School before Bolton High School was in place. I'm the oldest of 7 children, 6 of whom are living, none of whom live in the area anymore. I'm a CPA by profession. I currently am a tax specialist, have my own CPA practice, as well as working with several firms in the area to provide as needed on-the-ground support. So that's a little bit about me.
Absolutely. Now, on the political side, your current role as First Selectman is not the first or the only time that you've served in public office right here in Bolton. Tell us about some of the other work that you've done before stepping into this current term just this past November.
Wow. Okay. I was on the Board of Selectmen in the mid-'80s, and the then current First Selectman passed away while in office. I was appointed First Selectman, served out the remainder of his term, lost the next election, served on the Board of Selectmen for 2 more years, won the next election as First Selectman, and then decided I needed to focus on my career. So I took a little hiatus. The mid-'90s, came back, was elected to the Board of Finance. In my second 4-year term on the Board of Finance, I was elected vice chair, and continued to serve there until I developed a conflict of interest with my then current employer, resigned, and became chairman of the Heritage Farm Commission, a position I held for 11 years before stepping down when I was elected First Selectman 2 years ago. Prior to that, I had served on the Board of Selectmen for 2 years, but that wasn't a conflict of interest. And just to let people know that as First Selectman in Bolton, I'm an ex officio member of all boards and commissions, but may not be a voting member of any board or commission.
Right. That's quite a history of service right here in our town. So first and foremost, thank you for that. I know that I've already really gained a lot from having the chance to sit down with you, not only learn about the town's history, but just about your own expertise on boards and commissions. So town is certainly in great hands. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And back at you. I want to point out that both of us are certified Connecticut municipal officials.
That's very true.
Meaning that we have taken a course of study designed by the Connecticut Council of Municipalities and Trinity College to develop well-rounded, well-educated municipal officials. So,
absolutely.
Welcome to our ranks.
Thank you. Thank you. So, of course, the election just this past November, the First Selectman term is every 2 years in Bolton. So you were just reelected, and that's a decent amount of time looking forward to be able to accomplish whether they're modest or otherwise goals. So what can you tell me about that? What are some goals that you're setting for yourself, the Board of Selectmen, and the town as a whole? We can take that piece by piece.
Yeah, I was just thinking. For the town as a whole, I think we have to continue to work on several items. Economic development is a big one. We're currently involved in a grant process and working with a consultant, the Connecticut Economic Resources Council, commonly referred to as CERC, with neighboring towns of Coventry, Mansfield, Tolland, and of course Bolton. And before this program got underway, if you'd asked me what do Bolton, Coventry, and Mansfield have in common, I'd say not a lot. But you and I and many, many others went to a workshop a couple months ago now and discovered that in fact we do have a lot in common. And I'm looking forward to seeing the recommendations from CERC to come from that. I know one of them is something that we've already started in place, and that is looking at a branding program for the town of Bolton. I think we're one of Connecticut's best kept secrets. If you look at a map, we're a tiny little rectangle on the border of central Connecticut, eastern Connecticut, and everywhere I go, people say, Bolton, I don't know where that is. And then you mentioned some of our major landmarks like Bolton Ice Palace and Munson's Candy Kitchen, and all of a sudden people know where you are.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Patrice Carson, our community development director, and I just yesterday were looking at the state tourism website and the fact that Bolton has a page on that, a page that we have an opportunity to go in, look at, and develop a little bit in conjunction with the state tourism office, of course. And it's amazing how much is already on there and how much more, just by looking in a quick moment, that we were able to come up with that can continue to be listed. So absolutely, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to help people recognize not only folks who live outside of Bolton to come to Bolton, but even our own residents, and to talk up what it is that we have here, keep people here on the weekends, and really enjoy everything that we have to offer.
So keep people, I'm going to get off topic for a minute,
please.
but keep people here on the weekends. A week from Saturday is a day that you're not going to want to leave Bolton. Start your day with breakfast with Santa at the firehouse. Head over to the winter fair at the center school. From there, head back up to town hall to the Stuff-A-Cruiser sponsored by our 2 resident troopers, and then head over at the end of the day to the Christmas parade or holiday parade which ends at the Gazebo Green, and just have an all-day free family Bolton fun day.
Absolutely. And you said Saturday, I believe, December 7th.
I didn't say December 7th, but thank you for that exact date. Of course. It's a week from this coming Saturday.
Absolutely. Just want to make sure that everybody gets there, because there really are some spectacular events that are being planned, and it'll be good for us, certainly, to be able to welcome you and see you there.
Let's get back to your question now. One of my goals when I was elected 2 years ago was to increase Bolton's social media presence so that people had a way to get news quickly. In the last 2 years, we've been able to use our Everbridge software to get messages out to the community if there's something that they need to know immediately. And you can sign up on the town's website to get Everbridge notices. You can get them by text, email, or phone call, or all 3. And those are emergency notifications. We also have my Sandra Pirog, Bolton's First Selectman webpage. The town of Bolton has a webpage now, thanks to Josh. The Bolton Resident Troopers have a have a Facebook page now. So there's any number of Facebook areas to get into there, in addition to the various discussion boards and groups. And I'll let you tell the town where else you've added us, because I'm not as
Absolutely.
savvy as you are about some of these things.
Well, and so some of these things I'm learning on the job about too. My background is in a couple other towns in Connecticut, and from my experience, actually, not many other towns are using some of the new platforms that we've had the chance to get into. I know that many of you are probably connected with the town now on Nextdoor. Nextdoor is an interesting website that I've discovered after having the chance to go speak with town managers from across the country just last month about how it is that they're connecting with their residents. And Nextdoor tries to focus on town-specific and even neighborhood-specific conversations about happenings, whether it's events, social gatherings, things of that nature, but also questions about trash collection and other really municipally focused items. And we've had the chance now as a public agency to go in and we can post updates where we're not necessarily having a back and forth dialogue with residents. And actually, we can't even see those conversations with residents. We let them have the conversations that they want to have, but we're able to continue to put out information as needed and to be able to accept messages and feedback through that avenue. And I believe last I checked, we had just over 400 of our residents
Wow,
that were
that's
signed up for
great.
Nextdoor. Right, instantly by signing up to be a public partner with Nextdoor, we reached a much larger section of the population than we've been able to connect with on some other social platforms. So of course we have the Facebook page, as you noted. We're on Twitter, Instagram. We do have a Snapchat. That's something I need to work on a little bit more. It's not something I use that regularly, but if you do want to connect with us, we do post some updates there. And you can even find us on LinkedIn if you want. So there are really an endless number of ways to connect, and really thanks to the Board of Selectmen, I think that we've been able to get out a lot more information to the public, certainly than we have in the past. So.
And I know, Josh, that you're welcome to any suggestions that the public may have
Absolutely.
on ways to connect to them as well. And that brings me to the Bolton survey that's currently out there. You can access from the town's website, or you can pick up a paper survey in the library, the senior center, or town hall, and complete that and get it out. And how many are we up to this morning?
As of this morning, we have 591 responses.
That's amazing. It's been less than a
Absolutely.
week.
Absolutely, yes. It launched last Thursday and us today here on Wednesday. It is pretty amazing. And our hope is to get to 1,000 survey responses. That helps us get a kind of statistically accurate view of what town sentiments are. And hopefully within the next week, we're already there. But we could certainly use your help to further that and push it along as needed. I know that one of the questions that we've been getting back most often, and there are a lot of questions really packed into this, 55 questions about the town, many of which are open-ended and allow users to just, and our residents to give whatever feedback they feel is necessary. Are there specific items that you're really hoping to and excited to hear back about and explore public opinion on?
There are. I'm just trying to remember some of the questions out there. One of the questions asks you to rank your priority of town services. Yep. I know we're all concerned about quality education because that's one of Bolton's very strongest points. But there's a lot of things that happen in Bolton besides education. And I'm interested to see what is most important to our residents. Do they just consider Bolton a place to keep the teddy bear, or is it a place that they want to see open space for recreation, more organized recreation? Do they want affordable housing? Do they want senior housing? What are our residents' priorities, and how would they pick and choose to prioritize? And I'm truly hoping we get a cross-section of the community that's answering these questions. And I know one of the questions that's on the survey that my husband balked about. He goes, I don't want to tell them how old I am. I said, well, but it's important to me to know that senior housing is important to our seniors, or affordable housing is important to our mid-range people, mid-range age people, and I'm saying the 30 to 50 range, and who is recreation important to? because it's very different. I'm not going to go out on a basketball court. I may go out on a volleyball court or a badminton court, but I'm not going to be out there playing basketball. It's kind of hard for 5-foot-tall people to play basketball anyways. But so I need that feedback on age. But let's get back. Is police protection more important to you than open space?
Right.
Town office space. We need a new town office building. What do you think? Would you support it if it contained something else?
Right.
Should we look at joining services with other towns for some of these things? Are you interested in that, or you're not interested in that?
Absolutely.
So there's, it's really hard for me to say I'm interested in one of these or two of these 55, because if I wasn't interested in all 55, I don't think we would have put out the survey
Absolutely.
with 55 questions. Why don't you talk about how we came up with those questions for that survey, though?
Of course. So it was really a comprehensive look, not only at what certainly my questions are coming into the community, because I have a number that I'm very excited to get feedback about as I move forward and try and help you to frame kind of strategically what should we do moving forward. But certainly every member of the Board of Selectmen, a preliminary set of questions were presented to you, and I received feedback and we made adjustments as needed. But we also talked to town staff. A number of various board chairs from different boards and commissions were consulted. And certainly even a few members of the public had the chance to look over the questions, see, do we feel like these are slanted? Do we feel like these are covering questions that we really want to focus on in the next 2 years or so? And figure out what it is that we want to know that's going to get us to a place in town, a level of whether it's development, whether it's expansion of town services, or maintaining of current levels that we want to see in the future. How to get from A to Z in hopefully a few easy steps, and get the feedback that we need to make that happen. So,
and I want to reassure residents that this survey does not mean we're going to go out and immediately spend lots and lots of dollars. We're very, very conscious that we do have a small tax base right now, that our residents are paying almost the full boat for most of everything, and we want to provide what's most important to the people we're providing for. So, don't say I saw someone posted on social media, be careful what you wish for. This is just because the survey says, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen or going to happen immediately. It gives us a framework to work with so that we're moving in the right direction and not going off
absolutely.
In the wrong direction.
And once those survey results are compiled just for your benefit, we will certainly be getting all of that information compiled in one place, easily digestible, easy to read. Share it first and foremost with the Board of Selectmen so that they can start to understand exactly what it is that the community is trying to tell them. But that will be shared publicly as we're able to, and make sure that you have the chance to see what is it that your neighbors are thinking. Is it the same? Is it aligned with yourself? Are any of the comments that were made challenging some thoughts that you might have had about particular questions or subjects? So all of that will be made available, and I'm very excited to continue that community dialogue.
Okay.
So,
let's talk about Sustainable Connecticut for
yes, please.
few minutes. Back in August, the Board of Selectmen authorized a resolution to join the Sustainable Connecticut program. That's a program whereby the town will be documenting and taking actions towards a more sustainable community through, and there's items on there from the environment, from communication, open space, recreation, a great number and a really broad range of items. My goal is to get the bronze certification for the town of Bolton by this time next year. And in order to do that, we have to have a certain number of steps completed well before August of next year. It's an ambitious goal. Our Sustainable Connecticut Committee just met last week or the week before, and we're, I think, off and running. We've got a great committee. Some residents have stepped forward to help assist some town officials and representatives of the various boards and commissions and groups in town. And I think it's doable, and I think we're all going to learn something along the way. And if there's anyone out there who hasn't volunteered yet, who would like to help, reach out to the Selectman's office and Josh.
Please.
And get your name out there. We're going to need some help for specific projects, for report writing and documentation. And I know there's a lot of expertise out there that we can tap into. So please think about volunteering. It's an important step for our community. Neighboring communities of Vernon, Coventry, and Manchester have already received their bronze certification, so it's doable. Our neighbors have done it. We can too, and I'm looking forward to getting that accomplished in the next year. Now, if I hit everything on your question.
I think you've hit even more than I was necessarily expecting. On Sustainable CT, I just want to jump in and note that we have still 2 seats open for that we're inviting members of the public to come and join the committee itself and to really be part of those monthly or bi-monthly discussions as they move forward. But as you said, beyond that, even if you're not necessarily a formal member of the committee, there's still a lot of work to be done, and there are still a lot of projects. And we've talked about a little bit on past shows, the matching grant opportunity. That opportunity is open for a number of different community organizations, not just the town itself. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you just want to get your hands in there and really help us move some different sustainably oriented projects forward, we certainly welcome the help. I just know that committee work for some people might not necessarily be the most interesting thing, but we welcome input of all kinds.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
right.
So I think that we've covered a lot of the goals, that you're setting for the town, for the Board of Selectmen. If there's anything else, please feel free to jump in that you really wanted to touch on today. But I know that you had some goals set, of course, for your past term in 2017 through 2019. What were a couple of those goals, and how do you think that they were met?
One of those goals was to increase the social media presence.
Yep.
And prior to you coming on board, I had my webpage, and I was working with the state police to get their Facebook page up and running. So that goal was partially met, and I think it's an ongoing goal, and we're moving ahead with great speed at this point, and I would just like to keep that sustained. Another one of my goals was to get some shared services in place within the town, and with the retirement of a longtime staff person at the Board of Education for buildings and grounds, we were able to get that accomplished, and thereby saving the town some money, while I think also increasing the level and the professionalism of the services that are provided there. And we closed out the high school grant, which had been open for, I want to say, 5 to 7 years. We got that closed, and we got almost every dollar that Bolton was entitled to. So that was a big accomplishment. And we continue to share services with other towns and work with other towns to accomplish common goals. One of the goals, things that was accomplished in the past years, still sort of ongoing, is the Nathan Hale Greenway project.
Absolutely.
Where we worked with the town of Coventry, got a grant, and through Bolton's Trails Committee and Coventry's Trail Committee have come up with a report that's perhaps a little pie in the sky, but nevertheless does lay out some possibilities for that trail. And Bolton's Trails Committee is continuing to work on the Bolton piece of that. So.
Okay. Excellent. I mean, and these are all things that, as you said, some of them continue to be ongoing, like the Nathan Hale Greenway, and social media presence. And they're all things that I've certainly been very excited to see happening here in Bolton as I walk in, and I hope that residents have been excited about seeing those accomplishments as well. So, and I think that some of these questions have been addressed by some of your previous answers, but looking forward to the next 2 years, what are some of the major challenges that you see, and how do you feel that the town will or should address those challenges?
I'm going to go way back in history. When I was first selectman in the 80s, one of the things on the table was town office space.
Yep.
Fast forward to 2019, one of the things on the table is town office space. Between 1984 and 2019, we've done some things in town office which basically crammed more people into the same square footage. We have people over at the Notch Road building. We did complete a condition survey of that building, and somewhat to my disappointment, because I have some emotional ties to that building that I've expressed before on this show, it's not in good shape and probably should not have too many more dollars put into it to maintain it, because we're still going to have a building that was built in the very early 50s that's been cobbled together many, many times. So it's time to think about something else. I'm hoping this survey gives us some ideas about what people would like that space to look like. And we have some tough decisions to make.
Absolutely.
The town also has no solar power that we use. There are some restrictions on putting solar panels on the roof, on the barn at the Heritage Farm, and at Town Hall due to the historic nature of the center of town. But we have other areas we could look at, and I know the Board of Education would like to see some solar installation when they do the roof project, which is still a few years down the road, but is something we're all thinking about today, because it's probably going to require bonding. It's a very large number to put a new roof, and that would be on the center school.
Absolutely. We are coming towards the close of our time, so I think that we're going to have another session on the show just to continue to talk about everything that we're doing, everything that we have the chance to do. Yeah, there's just so much opportunity in the town, and that's certainly something that I know I get excited about every morning when I come to work, and I know that I've had the chance to see that expressed through you as well. So I do want to leave with one more question. What is your favorite thing about being first selectman?
Getting to work to try to improve the fabulous community that I know and love.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm sure that we'll have you back in the extremely near future so that we can really continue this conversation and help folks at home know a little bit more about what's happening on a day-to-day basis in the town. So I do want to, just before we sign off, note a couple other meetings that are coming up. The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be held on Wednesday, December 4th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. That is a special meeting. Please reach out to us as soon as possible if there's something that you are hoping to see on the agenda. And of course, you can always submit correspondence to Sandy through the Selectman's office. We have a Board of Selectmen Finance and Administration Committee meeting on Friday, December 6th at 12:30 p.m. And we have a Board of Selectmen Human Resources Committee meeting on Tuesday, December 10th at 7 o'clock p.m. as well. So we hope to see you all there. If you are interested in any of the subjects that will be discussed, those agendas will be posted certainly 24 hours or more in advance on the town's website, and you can find minutes and agendas for all of our meetings there. Thank you again, Sandy.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you all next time here on the show.